So, one definition of wisdom is living long enough to actually take a couple of hits and to live through times where it's not great and to deal with those particular times when it's not great. And learning how to just be happy with what you have and where you are in the moment. I'm talking about right now, if you look around, there is the outcomes, the sort of economic outcomes don't look great anymore. And in fact, it hasn't looked great for a long time, right? Like we did look great temporarily, but I think that was a bit of a anomaly in the sense that it was being artificially propped up, at least temporarily from the pandemic. And now we're really paying the cost of this pandemic. This is the true cost of where we're going to have some really bad. It doesn't look positive in the long term, medium term to long term at this point, or medium, probably short to medium term. Long term, it's always positive, right? And things are sort of moving up in the right direction. And so we have to, learn how to deal with that and learn how to deal with these blows that some of us might hit. Personally, I think, are going to take financial hit this year, and you have to sort of learn how to deal with this without letting it sort of destroy your outlook and be super pessimistic all the time about this is not great. And I was thinking about, if you have a small business, for example, and things just start going on the down decline, the demand starts diminishing a fair bit, and then you go through a drought when things are just not that great. And you have to think about, um, how do you deal with that? What is it that you can actually deal with this in this moment? And what I'd recommend is just focus on, hey, you know what? Everybody else is going through this loss. There's something about that when you start thinking about like everybody else is going through this loss, but then, snap out of reality and then think about like just how lucky you actually are. Everybody around you is doing okay, at least for the time being, or at least you're on this side, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you're on the side of the ground that we want to be on. That there's a lot to look forward to, and there's lots to sort of think about in terms of, hey, you know what, we're doing okay, and so it's to take a recap of where you are and what you're doing and think about that. And, I've lived long enough to experience several of these moments where you're like, oh boy, this is not great. The last few years has been several of them. And yeah, the pandemic was an absolute disaster, right? And it still is a disaster. It's ongoing, but we're learning how to fight this a little bit better. But it still was an awful lot of people that perished from this pandemic, despite what everybody recognizes and thinks about. There was a lot of people that actually died from this. It was not great, and so um, we have to think about how to reframe what we're experiencing and focus on, hey, you know what? In the moment right now, we're having, life is good, right? You've got, and I don't know who's listening to this around the world. Maybe it's hard to get food on the table, like in the sense of like today, you might not have food on the table, but if you do, you still have to think about, hey, I still have this ability to, maybe it's listening to a podcast, for example, right? Or I have this ability to look at the blue sky today. I have the ability to, breathe fresh air today. All of these things are really remarkable in of themselves. And you have to be happy with those moments. The one moment, so during the 2008 financial crisis, I couldn't get a job. It was really tough. And because of that, I stayed at home with the kids, or stayed at home with my newborn son. He was about 2, actually. at the time. I think he was about 2. Yeah, he was about 2. And I would get up at like 4 in the morning, 3:30, 4 in the morning, work until he woke up, which is like 8 o'clock or so, and then watch him because, like, who else? We couldn't afford daycare and things like that at that moment. So, here's the thing. I remember one of the best moments that I look back at that time, and it was a tough time. It was hard. But I remember dancing around the living room and the table with my 2-year old son, and that's still one of the best. I was like, when I was doing it, I was like, this is gonna be one of the best moments that you'll have. And I mean, I look back, and that warms me up every day. That dancing around the table to Chicken Fried. If I don't know if you've heard of that song. Um, so just remember that you still have a lot to look forward to. There's a lot that's going on that's positive in your life, and you have to be just optimistic every day. And things do get better in the long run, right? In the very long run, a decade. If I look back and I thought, hey, a decade from where I was to where I am today, it's such a quantum shift, unbelievable shift in terms of our financial security and our life security and things like that. It's just hard to believe. So you just have to know that if you keep pushing, if you keep working, and you keep trying, and you keep trying over and over and over again, you do that repeatedly for an unbelievable long time where people think that it's crazy to do it that long, things get better. And they get they get better in the sense that you understand the world a lot better, you have a lot more confidence, but also, better in the sense that, hey, people start recognizing what you're doing and they understand what you're doing and they get it. So I have a sneaking suspicion. Nobody is an economic forecaster in any sort of way, other than, the pandemic. We knew that was going to be bad. Um, and we're still paying the cost of that at this moment, right? This is going to be a long run. We still have a lot more to get through. We had sort of temporary bliss of a year, or probably 6 months where things have kind of like settled down. But this is a long term, difficult moment that we're all going to experience. How long term that is, who knows? How severe economically this is going to be. Um, I think in the short term it's going to be a little tough. In the long run, or medium run, right, like 5, 6 years out, I don't know. I think we'll probably be doing okay at that moment, but that's still a long time, right? In the short term, it's going to be a little tough. And so just remember that as we experience these things, it goes up, goes down, and just keep keep going at it, keep pushing, keep trying, and things do get better as you keep pushing, you keep trying, and keep going at it, making choices where you have to, um, make some tough choices over the next little bit, and whatever choice that you make, that's your choice. Don't feel guilty for it in any sort of way. You're completely entitled to do any choice, and be okay with it. So remember that, you are doing okay, and look around. You're breathing. You're on this side of the dirt, um, and even if you've got a little ways to go, right? Like you have only a few more months to live. Man, you still have a few more months to live. Go get at it. Go do some wonderful things. Go tell people some really nice things. Make their day. Start going through your list of all the people that you knew, and just start emailing them and saying, hey, you meant a lot to me, and that you're important in my life. And if you did that every day, and you think about how much you're appreciative of the world around you and the people that were a part of your life and all of these kind of moments, man, you'll just come back out of it feeling just so good. And straightened out and normal. And you just have to remember that. Think about how appreciative you are about the world around you and how just amazing it is to be part of this really quirky, unusual, weird world that we live in. So, with that, have a good day and take care. And I don't know. We'll see you on the next episode. All right, take care. Bye.